Okay, so we are now recording the last chapter of Sefer Shoftim, chapter 24, 21. And I just want to say that it's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be teaching this very, very important Sefer. I don't know why they don't teach this to every man, woman, and child in the country. It is a image of all of us today, yesterday, last century, this century, next century. It is so important, a Sefer. And as we come to the conclusion of this chapter, I believe that there is a ray of hope somewhere. At least that's what I hope we can find in this chapter as we make the completion. I do want to say to all those who are watching on the video and who cannot make it to class that the Siyum has been canceled. We did not have enough people to attend. So we are going to postpone it until September when people are more available, that the grandchildren and great-grandchildren are in school, and we have a little bit more free time to do the Siyum. So also I want to thank Hashem. I'm in gratitude for this day, Aaron and myself and our family's 24th anniversary of Aliyah. And as I told the class a few minutes ago, we don't regret one moment of all those years. It's been an amazing life here for us, and we are just so thrilled to have experienced our lives with the state of Israel and with the Jewish people in the Holy Land. So, having said that, we're going to go straight into the reading the chapter, and we're going to see what happened. Does anybody remember what we discussed last week? Yeah, the chapter was chapter 20, Shoftim, and it was entitled, we talked about the Pelegesh, the Givah, the concubine of Givah, and the aftermath of her death. Can anyone recall? Give us a little summary here. Go ahead. Just jump right in if you have an answer.
Well, it was a pretty gruesome story. For a start, giving a girl away to be raped, and his wife, unbelievable what they did. And then all the fighting and killing that went on afterwards, especially when he cut his ex-wife, his concubine, up into pieces. How he did that, I don't know. Maybe I had a power drill.
Thank you, Carol. So last week we learned that the consequences of the death of the man, the Levite man from Ephraim, whose wife had been gang raped in the city of Givah in the tribe of Benjamin, was taken home, and the man, while seemed complicit with the gang who wanted to take her, and the old man who was offering hospitality to them was willing to give her up to the demands of the gang in the street. The actions of this husband when he returned home was to send the parts of her body to the 12 tribes with a letter stating what happened while he was in the tribe of Benjamin in Givah. Apparently, the heads of the tribes were so disgusted and so mortified by this action of the people of Givah that they all met in Mitzpeh, and they decided rather quickly. It doesn't sound. It sounds like sort of not a deliberating kind of an action, but a quick fix for the decline of the society of Bnei Israel while living amongst the Canaanites, that the Torah seems to be forgotten. The laws of decency, morality, and human kindness seem to have been forgotten and given up for immorality and disgusting behavior. And we find that this is a big parallel to the story of Lot and the angels who come to visit him. So this is not the first time that we hear about terrible, terrible behavior while living amongst heathens and amongst the immoral society that are not Torah observant, and how we as Bnei Israel can fall prey to those that we live amongst, and how easy it is to take on others' bad behavior. The thing is that this hasn't really stopped since 2,000 years ago. We as Jews take on very bad behavior even unto this day of our neighbors that we live with and live amongst. And it's a very, I suppose you could say it's human, but God asks us to be more than just human. He asks us to be righteous. He asks us to be yashar. He asks us to be observant of the laws that he's given to us as a gift. And if we can observe those laws, the chesed, the tzedakah, the moral compass that God has given us, then we live a better life. So here we have the 12 tribes, the 11 tribes coming together, sending people to actually create the beginnings of a civil war. A civil war is when brother fights against brother, citizen fights against citizen. We're not fighting an external enemy, we're fighting amongst ourselves. And the battle seems to be bad behavior, not correcting the bad behavior that's among us, but trying to eliminate it. You can't just kill everybody who has bad behavior. Otherwise, we'd all be dead. Because we all have temptations, we all have bad behavior days, but we have to admit when we're wrong, and we have to ask for forgiveness, and we have to do tshuva. That wasn't the case in this story. The people went to war. They fought 3 battles. 2 of the battles were fought, and the Benjamite tribe won. The tribe that was the biggest perpetrator of this evil won against the other tribes, the 11 tribes. We wonder, why is that? We find that commentaries say that they didn't ask God for his blessing and for permission to go to war. They just said, can we go to war, and when should we do it? Should we fight against the tribe of Benjamin? And they didn't go properly and pray and to come together as a nation, asking God in the right way. So God allows the Benjamites, the evil perpetrators, to win 2 battles. The third time, the people of Israel congregate together in prayer, and they ask God if they should go again. This time, because they asked properly, God allowed them to win against the Benjamites, and 25,000 Benjamites were killed. That's almost the entire tribe. Shmuel tells us there were 400 people left. Men, women, and children had been obliterated, the cities destroyed, cattle killed. It was a terrible, terrible brother against brother, tribe against tribe, civil war of horrific and horrible, horrible, horrible proportions. So now, at the aftermath of the war, we go and we into chapter 21 to see what has happened after all the killing has subsided. So I'm going to, can you see it's chapter 21, Shoftim, Judgment, and we're going to start reading the chapter. Do I have a reader?
I'll read.
Okay.
Okay. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mitzpah, saying, "No man from us shall give his daughter to Benjamin for a wife." And the people came to Bethel and sat there until the evening before God, and raised their voices and wept profusely. And they said, "Why, O Lord God of Israel, has this come to pass in Israel, that one tribe of Israel should be missing today?" And it was on the next day that the people rose early and built there an altar and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Israel said, "Who is there among all the tribes of Israel that did not come up to the Lord in the assembly? For there was a great oath concerning him that did not come up to the Lord at Mitzpah, saying, He shall surely be put to death."
Okay, let's stop there. Let's talk about what's going on here. First of all, we learned that the fighting has stopped, and the tribes have now come together at Bethel, and they're crying. They're crying for on many levels. They've just killed off almost an entire tribe of Bnei Israel, one of their brothers, and they're crying that their behavior, perhaps that they realize that the behavior that caused all this is still not it's not eradicated. They certainly must understand this. And then, in addition to that, they themselves, their own tribesmen, have lost their lives because they lost 2 parts of the war. So this sitting down and realizing what has happened is causing tremendous grief, and yet we're going to see both anger, retribution, and what I would like to think is a glimmer of hope amongst the tribes. So here we are. They're sitting down together. They're discussing what's happened, and they make a vow, collective vow, that nobody should give their daughters to the remnant of the tribe of Benjamin. Nobody should allow their daughters to marry a man from Benjamin. Okay, so having said that, and then they say, you want to read again, Pasuk 5?
Yes. And the children of Israel said, who is there among all the tribes of Israel that did not come up to the Lord in the assembly? For there was a great oath concerning him that did not come up to the Lord at Mitzpah, saying, he shall surely be put to death. To tell you the
Okay.
truth, this
Yeah.
it's confusing to me.
Yes, it is. You're right. Go ahead. Say what.
No, I don't know why they're asking who didn't come up. There was the fight with Benjamin. I don't understand really what's going on.
Okay. After making an oath that the tribes of Israel shall not give their daughters to any Benjamite man, then they go to pray and they offer sacrifices to God, and they try to come together as a nation. But what's troubling them, there's something bothering them. And we find out that they have a conscience. Now, before we continue, I want to ask everybody who in class, and I'm asking the general viewers here, has anybody ever heard of Tu B'Av? I know everyone knows what Tisha B'Av is, the 9th of Av, but what about Tu B'Av?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Does anybody else know? You've heard of it,
It's
Lord.
like it's like a Jewish.
Isn't it when the girls go out and they pick brides from the young women?
Right, okay.
The young women go out and pick men.
Right, yeah, they go
Right.
out and then they find their basher, supposedly.
Right,
All
okay.
in white so that they're all
Pure.
the same level there. No
Right,
one's face.
right,
Oh,
right,
oh.
right. What else? You're all good? Anyone else? Janice, you were saying something?
It's like comparable to Sadie Hawkins Day,
Right,
Huh.
right,
and I
right.
believe they can pick a chassan from any tribe. Isn't that true?
Okay, all right. Now, has anyone ever thought about where this comes from? It comes from this chapter of Shoftim. Okay. Here we have 11 tribes making a vow that they will not give up their daughters to the tribe of Benjamin. But what we're going to read now is how they felt about this vow and what they decided to do about it. And this is where I like to think that Bnei Israel didn't lose its soul entirely, that they tried to redeem something good from this terrible, terrible situation and civil war. So I'm hoping, I'm not a commentator, but I am hoping that I am correct in thinking that Shmuel, in his last chapter of Shoftim, which we know showed the rise and fall of Bnei Israel for 21 chapters, for 367 years of being in the promised land, right after receiving the Torah, that there was some semblance of neshama, of a spark, that they were not going to let the tribe of Benjamin die and to fall by the wayside of oblivion to history. So I believe that the rest of this story will show you what they did and why they did it, okay? And after we finish reading this, I hope to be able to clarify. So hold on to your questions as we continue to read. Adele, I hope we answer some of your not understanding some of this, okay?
Okay, hopefully
let-
the reading the rest of it will answer the question, but what I'm wondering is who made the vow, and then who was it the leaders that made the vow, but the people who said that's not right, and the people with the conscience. I don't know.
Okay, so
We'll see.
well, so hopefully we'll see. Now, when Shmuel is telling us this story, he is telling us that the tribal leaders are making the decision for their tribes. So they are coming together as leaders. It's almost like a government. It's like each state is sending their governor to make a decision on a national level. So if we can understand that, we can understand what's going on here. Okay.
Okay.
So these leaders, now don't forget, when they come together and make a sacrifice and they're praying, they come together as a nation. When they're making these decisions, these leaders and for the people are making the decisions, and some of the decisions can be changed or rescinded, but they can all, when you take a vow, you have to do it a certain way, as we've learned before. So let's see what's going to happen here. Go ahead.
Wait. If
Yeah.
they're supposed to be repenting or changing a little bit, why is that last sentence that they're thinking of putting whatever to death? Why are they
Okay.
talking about death again?
Okay, so here in this particular pasuk, the leaders of the children of Israel are saying, okay, we've made a vow about marriage, but who in all of the tribes, don't forget they were heads of tribes within each major tribe. So the tribe of, let's say, Judah, it might have 5 to 20 leaders of each family. When we say the heads of the tribes, these are families. They're like what we would think of, as the family patriarch, and with the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, and they're all living together in a section of the tribe, of the territory of the tribe. So there may be 5 or 20 or 17 tribes, heads of tribes, who come from each of the 12 tribes. Now, some people, some of the tribes within the territory of the 12 tribes did not send people to fight this civil war. They got the body part. They, as the tribe of Benjamin, as a tribe of Judah, as a tribe of Manasseh, but the heads of each family, not everybody showed up in disgust and in desire to correct this terrible behavior. So they're saying now that they've prayed, have burnt offerings. Now they're sitting like a powwow, and they're going, who amongst all of the different heads of the families of the tribes didn't send representatives? And these people who didn't send representatives, we're going to find out, seem to not have a voice in any of the decisions that are going to be made. You don't show up for the vote. You don't show up for the battle. You don't show up for the prayer. You don't have a choice. And so for these people who are sitting around after the war trying to figure out a solution, say that those that didn't show up are as if they were dead and they don't have a voice. Okay? Because when you're dead, you don't have a voice, you don't have a say in anything. Now they're saying there are consequences for not showing up. Now let's find out what the consequences are that these tribes, leaders of the tribes that did show up to the battle, and to try and make a course correction on the moral compass of Bnei Israel. Let's see what they're going to do with these people who didn't show up. Okay?
Yes,
Does
Okay.
thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It certainly does. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay. So let's see what happens here. They're not they're not going to kill it. They're not killing anybody right here. It was a metaphor, basically. Okay, let's read. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel reconsidered concerning Benjamin their brother, and said, "Today one tribe has been cut off from Israel. What shall we do for them that remain for wives, since we have sworn by the Lord not to give them of our daughters for wives?"
So
And
do
they
you
said,
understand? Wait. Do you understand what that was just said? Today they've come together to talk about what happened. What happens from here on in, because we're in jeopardy of losing one of the tribes. It's been decimated. Go ahead.
and And they said, "Which one of the tribes of Israel did not go up to the Lord at Mitzpeh? And behold, no one had come to the camp from Yabesh Gilad to attend the assembly. And the people were counted, and behold, no one was there of the inhabitants of Yabesh Gilad."
Okay.
Yabesh
So
Gilad.
now they Yavesh Gilad seem to not have sent any representatives. They counted amongst them. They checked to make sure that they were correct, and they have now the assessment that these people did not come to this to Mitzpeh for the decision of what to do with Benjamin. Okay, they
And
didn't
what
participate.
tribe was that lived in Yabesh Gilad?
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question. I didn't even think to, I'll find out. I
Okay.
will, okay, go ahead.
And the congregation sent there 12,000 of the valiant men and commanded them, saying, "Go and strike the inhabitants of Yavesh Gilad with the edge of the sword, including the women and the children. And this is the thing that you shall do. Every male and every woman that had relations with man, you shall destroy." Oh, great.
Oy.
Oy. And they found among the inhabitants of Yavesh Gilad 400 virgin girls that had not had relations with any man, and they brought them to the camp, to Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent and spoke to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock of Rimmon, and they proclaimed to them words of peace. And Benjamin
Okay.
returned at that time.
Okay, so let's take a look, since we're trying to figure out where things are. Can you see the map? Can anyone
Yeah.
with better eyes see whether you can see where Yavesh?
Yeah, it's on the line between Menashe and Gad, north of Sukkot.
On that black line.
Right
Yeah.
here.
Right
This,
there.
this
Down,
black
up,
line is
up.
the Jordan
Yeah.
River.
Hello.
Okay.
So just go down from there, a little bit there. Yavesh. That's it.
Right here. So they
Mhm.
were, so it's the tribe of God.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
See that?
Yeah.
I mean, you might even say it, no, I mean, it's pretty clear. I think it's God. I don't think it's Menashe. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
everybody had sent, all the tribes had sent. They pick out this group. I'm not sure that it's the only one in the entire nation that did send, but they picked this one out. They did do some terrible things. I don't know why they have to kill everybody. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay. And they found, it's as the text says, they found 400 maidens. And let's see what's going to happen. Go ahead.
At 14.
let's do this.
Okay. And they found among the inhabitants of Yavesh Gilad 400 virgin girls that had not had relations with any man, and they brought them to the camp, to Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent and spoke to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock of Rimmon, and they proclaimed to them words of peace. And Benjamin returned at that time, and they gave them the women whom they had saved alive of the women of Yavesh Gilad, but this was not sufficient for them.
All right, so what we find here is the tribes are trying to rectify the civil war that where they killed everybody in the tribe of Benjamin, except 500 men. So they, this is like I feel like buyer's remorse, have you ever heard it? Where you've done something and then you regret it. So now what's happening is that they've taken these maidens and they're taking them up to Shiloh. We know that. What is Shiloh? Where is that? It's not just in Canaan, it's in Eretz Yisrael now, okay? But what was Shiloh?
Where the Mishkan was.
That's where the Mishkan was in the Kohen Gadol, okay? So that's where people would go for the Shalosh Regalim. That's the holy site. And so they take these women and they go to Shiloh. And what do?
They give the women for wives.
Okay, to the tribe of
Benjamin.
Benjamin. Okay. They're trying to say, look, it seems as if there was terrible things. We've tried to rectify it, but we don't want the tribe of Benjamin to become non-existent. So the only way to do that is through procreation. They bring these women, but it says it wasn't enough for them. There weren't enough women. So let's continue. Go ahead.
And the people reconsidered concerning Benjamin, because the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. And the elders of the congregation said, what shall we do for those that remained for wives, since the women of Benjamin have been destroyed? And they said, there must be an inheritance for the remnant of Benjamin, so that a tribe not be blotted out from Israel. But we may not give them wives from our daughters, for the children of Israel have sworn, saying, cursed be he that gives a wife to Benjamin. And they said, behold, there is a sacrifice before the Lord in Shiloh from time to time, which is to the north of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goes up from Bethel to Shechem, and to the south of Livona. And they instructed the children of Benjamin, saying, go and lie in wait in the vineyards.
All right, let's stop here. So up to this point, they're trying to figure out what can they do. The 400 women were not enough. And now they're trying to say, but what else can we do? There's nothing else to be done, because we have taken a vow. And unless they go to the Kohen Gadol and or before Yom Kippur, ask for the annulment of all their vows, etc. There must be some way to, every vow seems to have a way to annul it. And they said, well, but we've already taken this vow that we will not give our daughters or our women to the tribe of Benjamin. And the reason for this, as we found out, is that because the tribe of Benjamin were the ones who perpetrated the terrible, immoral rape of the concubine, the Pelegesh, of this man from while they were staying in Giva. So, and when the people of the tribes came and said to the tribe of Benjamin, give up all these terrible people who raped this woman and killed her, they refused to. So they aided and abetted these terrible people within their own tribe of Benjamin by not giving them up to be killed and or punished. So there wasn't even a trial. There wasn't anything. There was nothing they wanted but blood. They wanted to avenge the death of this woman in a civil war. So now they're saying, okay, there weren't enough people, but there is we're going to have a sacrifice. There's going to be a time on our calendar soon where we're going to make a sacrifice before the Lord in Shiloh. And at this particular time, when everybody comes to make this sacrifice, we're going to invite the men of Benjamin, all the men of Benjamin, to come, and they give the location. It's interesting. They don't tell exactly which Chag is the time of sacrifice. Now, it's interesting that Radak, one of the commentators, says that this time of sacrifice when people would be coming up to Shiloh is Yom Kippur. But Abarbanel says, no, it's not Yom Kippur, it's Sukkot. To me, it would make more sense that it would be Sukkot because it'd be a longer amount of time for people to get there during Sukkot because it's a 7-day holiday as opposed to Yom Kippur, which is the 1 day. So the tribesmen are saying to everyone throughout the land, all the Benjamites should come during this, let's call it Sukkot festival of sacrifice and a holiday before the Lord. And here's the directions how to get there. And they're telling them it's north of Beit El and it's east of, east on the highway, the side of the highway. I mean, it's almost like a Waze kind of thing here. You go here, you go there, you go to Shem, and you'll get there. And you're just and then they instruct the children of Benjamin, go and wait in the vineyards. That's where you should wait. And this is what's going to happen, okay? Because those of you who didn't get wives, we're going to try and remedy this, okay? So let's see what else they have planned for the men of Benjamin.
This is a really weird story, but when they say the children of Benjamin, they mean the sons. They mean and when they say the daughters of Shiloh, I don't know does that mean all the Jewish daughters?
Right, exactly. So first of all, you have to know that there were no women left after the slaughter of the tribe of Benjamin. There were no women. That's why they're importing from other tribes these women. And when they say that the children of Benjamin, that's the men that are left, the remnant. Okay? All right. So let's continue. Let's start here.
And you will see and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance the dances, then you shall come out of the vineyards, and you shall grab for yourselves each man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be when their fathers or their brothers come to quarrel with us, then we will say to them, we took pity on them because we did not take for each man his wife in the war, neither should you be concerned, for you did not give them presently that you should be guilty. And the children.
In other words, they're saying to whoever is sending these women, the daughters of Yavesh Giva, you can't complain about your daughters marrying the Benjamites because you weren't there in the first place. So you have to put up and shut up here, you know? You come to the war, you have a say. You don't come, you don't have a say. And so, and this is what we're doing because we feel that it's right. Now, apparently what's not said here, which is implied, is that at this time that when the daughters come out, the women come out into the fields and dance, that they will be selected by these men to become their wives. And in doing so, the ban ends. The curse will end. The vow will end at this time. And this will become a tradition that on a certain day, women will be able to come out into the fields, into the vineyards, and they will be available to choose a husband. Okay, now let's continue.
But also, the vow was that a father wouldn't give his daughter to Benjamin, because that was the vow, and fathers did that in those days. And here it's the sons choosing their own. The fathers are not really involved.
Well, it's actually the women who are going to be choosing.
Right. Right.
So what makes this so interesting is that in 2000 years ago, when everything was very male oriented, we are given a day where the women will make the choices of who to woo and entice to marry. So
yes, technically
and
it's not breaking the vow. Technically,
right.
It's
right. So and in the Gemara, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, there's a whole discussion of all this with laws and rules and regulations of how this should happen. So it's very interesting. Okay, continue.
Are the women grabbing the men or the men grabbing the women?
Well,
that word grab.
Yeah, it says grab. It's you know, taking, grabbing. I would like to think that they're doing it in a very polite way, and they're not just snatching somebody, you know, and continuing bad behavior. I mean, we've learned that what bad behavior can lead to. But let's hope that it means in a very kind of frisky, fun kind of a way. Let's hope. Okay. Go ahead.
And the children of Benjamin did so, and married wives according to their numbers of those that danced whom they had seized. And they went and returned to their inheritance and built the cities and dwelt in them. And the children of Israel went from there at that time, every man to his tribe and family, and they departed from there, every man to his inheritance. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his eyes.
And that's the Chazak. This is the end of Shoftim. Now, why does it, why? So now what we find is that it worked. The solution of the 11 tribes worked in repopulating, at least getting wives for the men of Benjamin, and that no brother would be obliterated from the tribes. And then of course it says they go back to their homes, they rebuild their cities, they rebuild their families, and that every person who participated in all of this still has a portion of their inheritance. In other words, Benjamin remains in the tribe of Benjamin, and then these people will start to regroup and rebuild their lives. But okay, go ahead. Yes,
I have a lot of trouble with this. Number one, the women. These women, were they virgin in that they didn't even know what these men had done to this fellow woman? I mean, I don't understand how they even got one woman to go in. If this is the deal is, okay, we're gonna go around the earth. And you guys, you women, you be the new progenitors of this tribe. So number one, what kind of women are these that would allow themselves to go to men like that? And then were all the men guilty? I don't understand. It doesn't seem like justice anywhere.
Maybe they were old spinsters.
No,
I think
well,
better expensive than to marry somebody who rapes and,
all right. First of all, this is really a double-edged sword. And I'll tell you why. Because when the tribes come together after they receive the body part of the concubine that the Levite Ephraim man sent out, when they come together, people are angry. They're furious. They want retribution and they want justice. We don't know what kind of justice. You can have your own personal justice where you think everything is okay, whatever you do, but it's not. Now, these tribes come together, and the first thing they do is demand from the tribe of Benjamin that they want the perpetrators. They want the people involved in this terrible deed. And it seemed like there was quite a few, because it said they encircle the house. They demand that first of all, they demand that the old man who's given shelter to the concubine and her husband and the servant demand that the old man, the resident in Benjamin, send out the man. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That they send out this man so we can be intimate with him. So their first request was not with the woman, it was with the man. So it tells you how immoral this group of people are. Now, if it's just within this particular city of Giva, we don't really know. We assume by reading that the tribe seems to be pretty corrupt, because when all the other tribes come, they say, give us these bad people. But Benjamin, the tribe, says, no, we're not giving them to you. So you would infer from that they are complicit. It's a collective immoral situation. Having said that, as one edge of the sword, the other edge is there could be plenty of people, I'm not saying there are or aren't, there could be plenty of people who didn't participate in this, didn't not want to give the bad people up for punishment. And so they're caught in the middle as well. So you have people who may be okay people and people who are not okay people. And yet the whole tribe is being punished. So whether or not all the bad people got killed and the good people survived, we don't really know, because in war, as you well know, even today, good people die, bad people die. So we don't know who survived this war. All we know is that 25,000 people died, men, women, and children. So what can we infer from this? That the 11 other tribes had a real aha moment. They said, how can we let one of the tribes just melt into oblivion to the end and become non-existent? We have to fix it. So their fix was to bring in these women from a group of people who'd never showed up for this war. Now, can we assess whether they were happy about this, not happy about it? I imagine there were plenty of people, if they were not married. Maybe they were very happy to marry someone and to have a life where they would have a family. Don't forget the decision seemed to be in the hands of the women, so they could maybe possibly say no to someone who they didn't want to go with. This is what I'm inferring from all of this. This is only what I can tell you. The commentators have all kinds of answers for this. And some of the commentators, and that's why I'm not bringing up a lot of the commentary, some of them have some very, very absurd kinds of things that would cause us to go in for weeks of discussion. And I don't, we're a class that wants to get the gist of the story and try to understand the text, not necessarily go into 10, 12 maforshim, the commentators on this, on that, and go off in tangents. Otherwise, we'd be here for another 10 years. So what I'm trying to bring to light here is the simplistic story of what happened, the remedy that the tribes had, and what I want to go on and talk about from the Gemara. I hope that gives you some kind of an answer.
Yeah, it does really, because if it were up to me, I would have left this out. We look so terrible. So it must say something, that it must say something.
Don't forget, you're editing this with 21st century editorial abilities after 2,000 years of change in social mores and moral behavior.
Right.
And your own personal experiences, etc., and the change of human population. The change being that nothing has changed and everything has changed. So, here we are.
Rhonda, what you just said, either nothing was changed or everything was changed. And that very last sentence, every man did what was right in his eyes.
Yeah.
Now, if I think I'm right, I could still be doing something wrong. I feel I'm right. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to rob that house. I'm going to kill that person. That's right in my eyes. And then there's another person who truly does only good deeds and good things. That last sentence, did they change at all? Every man did what was right in his own eyes? Did they change?
So this last sentence is Shmuel, I think Shmuel's commentary on the state of the state, the state of the nation. We start Sefer Shmuel with there was no king in the land.
Okay.
That's the first sentence in Sefer Shoftim. There was no king who ruled in the land, and therefore it was lawless because people weren't obeying the laws of Torah. Now, the reason for the Shoftim is to bring people back to the laws of Torah, is to conquer the enemy and bring the people back to the laws of Torah. The last sentence in Shoftim says, there still is no king. The people don't deserve a king. They wouldn't know what to do with a king because there were many opportunities where the judges were asked to be king and the judges refused. So the people weren't ready for a king. So here we are with a situation that the people of Israel, after 367 years of being in the land that God had promised them from the time of Abraham, still don't know how to behave. And so at the end of this story, when the tribe of Benjamin is brought back into the fold and all is forgiven, in hopes that there will not be a repetition of all of this, then what we can see is there still is a land of 12 states, nation states, who don't have a king to bring them all together. There's no national leader. And so everybody went back after this situation. They went back to their homes and they did whatever they did and what they thought was right. And when we go into Sefer Shmuel, it will answer some of your questions about this lawlessness, about this individuality, people thinking that my rule is the right rule, or he that holds the gold makes the rules. It's a problem. It's a big problem. And Shmuel says that after all this time, it wasn't resolved. But at least there are 12 tribes intact.
Okay.
What time is it? Let's see. Oh, it's 12 o'clock. We could meet next week if you wanted, because I have a whole discussion about all this. Or do you want to wait until the day, before the Siyum, and we bring that? What would you like to do? I tell you what, I'm going to.
Maybe we'll forget everything. We can hardly remember week to week. Maybe by the time we have to see him, we'll be up to.
Let's stop recording.
I'm happy for next week.